We want to look at some of the methods that can be used to gather intelligence. Previously, we looked at what is meant by intelligence, the sources of intelligence, and types of intelligence. Our focus now is on the kinds of methods that institutions or directorates of intelligence, be it as the police, a standalone intelligence institution, or military institutions, employ in their effort to gather intelligence. These methods can be used singly or in a combination of others. And indeed, some might be appropriate for some type of intelligence information, some others might not. Similarly, some may be appropriate in certain circumstances, while others may not. So whatever we want to understand here is that there are various methods of intelligence that have been used by intelligence institutions to gather intelligence. And as I noted, they can be used as one or in a combination of others. I want to welcome you to this very, very important discussion. Intelligence, again, is information that is gathered within or outside a country, and such information may involve threats to a nation, its people or citizens, its property, its interests, its development, and any other matter that bears on the security of a nation. Intelligence, or what we call national intelligence, might include information about foreign countries, can also include information about non-state actors, as well as state actors. So when you talk about national intelligence, it's actually a combination of several information that are important to a country, both within its internal as well as external affairs. Might also include information about potential threats to a country or about economic and criminal activities that may have a negative bearing on a country. The gathering of intelligence, as we noted earlier, involves a process of collecting, analyzing, and evaluating information to understand a subject or a situation, which in many cases is used for decision making. And intelligence gathering incorporates several processes. One, information collection. Two, evaluation of information. Three, collation or synthesis of information. And four, analysis of that information. Then lastly, dissemination of that information. The question is, what methods then do intelligence institutions employ when collecting evidence, which now they can disseminate and now make use of to carry out operations or to make certain decisions that may be either short or long term. One of the methods that is used to gather intelligence is called directed surveillance. Directed surveillance is a covert surveillance technique that monitors people and targets in public places. When you talk of covert, it means hidden or underground technique. It's a type of covert intelligence that is used during a specific operation. It involves monitoring of a person or people of interest in terms of their movement, conversations, and activities. This is normally done without their knowledge. They are normally followed when they go to church, when they go to social places, sometimes in their offices, and a lot of other places. It might also mean monitoring their communication, either the kind of communication they have in their telephone, among other things. The investigator, in this case, may have to visit social places, shopping malls, stadia, bars and restaurants, sometimes hotel rooms, places of worship, places of work, and other places that are frequented by persons of interest. It is normally carried out by highly skilled specialists who undertake the surveillance and who may work in vehicles, on foot, or from fixed observation posts. So when you talk of directed surveillance, simply means an attempt by intelligence officers to observe what a person is doing in open spaces. And this can be in terms of where they go, the kind of conversations they engage in, and other activities that they do carry out on a routine basis. The other type of intelligence gathering is called intrusive intelligence, rather intrusive surveillance. The other one was called directed surveillance because it's an open thing. Now, intrusive surveillance means that it involves the presence of an individual at residential premises or in someone's car or using surveillance device at residential premises or in someone's car. What it means here is that sometimes intelligence gathering might involve uh, covertly placing certain gadgets in places of residence, such as people's homes, without the knowledge of the homeowners, or sometimes in their offices, or sometimes in their cars. Such materials could be cameras or it could be voice recorders. The goal is to ensure that as much private information as possible is obtained about a particular person. It includes monitoring, observing, listening to persons in terms of their movement, their conversations, and other activities or communications that they engage in. It can be done through recording, using recording devices. It can be done through direct observation, that is in terms of what people see, or it can come in terms of listening, the course of surveillance, and surveillance by or with the assistance of a surveillance device. Like I noted, we could use micro cameras, video recorders, and even voice recorders. The goal is to make and understand what somebody is doing. And I've said it is normally called intrusive because it is done in places that individuals consider as private. And it can be carried out by the police, the intelligence officers, or persons appointed as agents by police or intelligence officers. In some cases, intelligence officers can use domestic workers such as house girls or house helps, gardeners, guards that have been employed at the gate. It can also be done using people in the pub, like barmaids, among others, to monitor and record what a particular individual of interest is saying, what they consume, among other things. The goal is to extract as much information as possible from the person without his or her knowledge. The other method of intelligence gathering is called social engineering. And social engineering is the tactic of manipulating, influencing, or deceiving a target into making security mistakes or giving away sensitive information. The agent first investigates the intended victim to gather necessary background information such as points of entry and weak security protocols that is needed to proceed with the attack, then employ the use of any of the following methods to execute the mission. In other words, we are saying that the entry point is to understand the person of interest carefully in terms of what they like, where they visit, so that you get the point of entry. Now, once that is done, then any of the following methods can be used. One of them is called phishing method. And in phishing method is the process of attempting to acquire sensitive information such as the usernames, passwords, credit card details by masquerading as a trustworthy entity using, say, bulk emails, SMS text messaging, or by phone. So the attempt here is to get information that the person can now then use to now access private data or private information, like somebody being able to get your email password or phone password. Through that, therefore, they will now be in a position to use it and access all the information, peruse through, and see what they might pick in terms of the issues that they're interested in investigating. The other method is called baiting. This is the use of a false promise to lure a target into a trap, which may steal a personal or secret information. This is often used more by, for instance, somebody could call you and tell you that you have won certain money, and then either by betting or through lottery, and then seeks to tell you that for them to process your payment, they may require you to furnish them with certain information, such as your bank details or a password, to enable them now from their end to make adjustments, and then after that they can now transfer the payment that you have won to your account. Of course, the goal here is to bait you, is to trap you. Once you are trapped or once you're lured, then you are able to give information that otherwise could have not been given. The other method that is used in social engineering is called tailgating. Tailgating, and this is a physical breach where an unauthorized person manipulates their way into an area where only authorized persons, through impersonation, such as delivery driver, technician from power, water, or communication provider. For instance, if a person is interested in gathering intelligence about a particular individual, then they might go to the home states of those uh, persons of interest and pose as a technician from Kenya Power. Say that he has been called, he's from the Kenya Power, and he has come to either take the meter readings or to correct certain mistakes with the power line. Or they might come and say that they pose as agents of water providing company or communication provider. They can come and say, I'm from Safaricom, or I'm from this particular internet provider, and we are coming to check on ABCD. Once the gate is opened, then they can now take a survey of what happens in the compound, or they can use that process again to install micro cameras, micro voice recorders at strategic points that can capture the individual in terms of their movement and everything they do. They might be in a position to know who enters that compound and who leaves, so that from there they are now able to know the associates of the person that they're interested in. The other method they use is what we call scareware. And scareware, it involves the target being bombarded with false alarms and fictitious threats. For example, somebody calls you and tells you that I'm from Kenya Power and I've noted that you have not paid your bill, and by not paying this bill, we are going to cut off your power. Please do ABCD if you want us not to cut your power. Or so that out of panic, you may end up providing information that otherwise they may not have provided. So through that process, again, the person manipulates the individual, and in the process, you end up providing information that ordinarily you could have not done, you could have not provided. The last method of social engineering is called quid pro quo. And quid pro quo involves an agent requests the exchange of some type of sensitive information, such as critical data, login credentials, or monetary value in exchange for a service. A person, for instance, tells you that I'm able to do for you ABCD, but before I do it, can you please provide me with the following? So the person poses as somebody who is out and ready to provide a service free of charge, but in the process, the person is seeking to just get some information. For example, somebody might tell you that your laptop has a problem, but therefore he is ready to repair it for you without any charge. And in the process of doing the repair, he or she requests you to give him the password so that he is able to open your phone or to open your laptop. But in the process of doing so, he gets access to the kind of information that he's looking for. So first, the person poses as a specialist in doing something, and therefore expresses willingness to help you without charging you anything. But in the process of doing that, they gain your confidence, and because you hear that a service will be provided without any money being given out or being paid, you feel lured and you find yourself compelled to provide sensitive data and information about the gadget. And in the process, while pretending to be repairing the gadget, they will extract the kind of information that they need. The other method that is used is called data mining. And data mining simply means looking for huge information and then putting it together for purposes of getting information that is needed. And this method also has several sub-methods that are used. One of them is called classification. In classification, it means categorizing crimes based on characteristics like type, location, time, and suspect profile to identify recurring patterns and predict future crimes. So when we talk of data mining, we simply means intelligence officers trying to source as much data as possible, then they classify them. Then the other one that we call clustering. Clustering simply means grouping similar crimes or locations together to identify crime hotspots and understand spatial distribution. For example, you can decide and say that maybe we want to look at crime across the country in terms of counties. Then we'll ask ourselves, if we take county as a cluster, what type of crimes are often committed, or what kind of intelligence information is often committed in county A, county B, county C that way. And again, what are the characteristics of the individuals that commit such crimes? So you put such data together for purposes of ensuring that when you now come up with a decision to help in crime prevention, then such decisions are tailor-made according to the region, because those regions have been clustered based on the type, the frequency, and the type of people that are engaged in such criminal conduct. Then the other one is called association rule analysis. Association rule analysis involves discovering relationships between different crime variables, like identifying which type of crimes are often occur together in a particular area. For example, it is possible to find in an area, say, where prostitution as a crime goes together with drug trafficking. So that way now, you are now then able to know if you control crime A, are you in a position to control crime B? So that which of these crimes move together. For example, there could be cases of robbery, and therefore, in such cases, you're also likely to find where robberies occur, murder also likely to occur, because possibilities of certain individuals resisting robbers, and therefore robbers acting in a violent manner and killing them becomes quite high. Or you can find that there are certain instances where there's a lot of drug abuse, which also goes with rape. Either people who have abused drugs, they end up becoming sexually violent towards others, or those who have abused drugs, especially if they're female, they become victim of sexual violence, either by fellow drug abusers or by non-drug abusers. So when you talk of association rule analysis, we are basically looking at which of the crimes do that are likely to accompany each other. That's so that if one type of criminal activity occurs, there's a possibility of the other type of another form of crime occurring. Then we have what we call regression analysis. This is about predicting future crimes rates based on historical data and relevant factors like demographics, socioeconomic conditions, and environmental variables. In other words, when we talk of regression analysis, we study certain types of crimes based on a historical context, so that we're able to say that crime A and B have been occurring over the years, and it involves this kind of, it is facilitated by these kind of factors. And as long, because these factors still persist, there's a possibility that similar crimes are likely to occur in future. For example, violence. Violence have been frequent during electioneering period. And again, perhaps if we take the case of Kenya, based on past violence starting from 2007, 2013, 2017, and 2022, if there are protests and violence and criminal activities occurring after every election, and circumstances still remain the same, then based on that historical analysis, it is possible for intelligence officers to say that given that these factors have facilitated or have led to the rise in cases of violence and criminal activities, there's a possibility that similar crimes or similar security problems might again occur when the next election is held. Then the other one is called time series analysis. This is studying crime trends over time to identify seasonal fluctuations or patterns related to specific events. For example, if say we are looking at uh, careless driving as a possible crime, then it has been documented in Kenya a significantly higher incidences of traffic, rather violation of traffic rules during festive seasons. And in Kenya, we are talking of Easter holiday, December holiday, and the New Year holiday. So there has been a tendency for criminal cases to be on the rise during such occasions. And therefore, we can use that to now say that it's also possible that when such occasions arise in future, possibility of criminal activities occurring are quite high. Again, based on that kind of based on previous seasons in which there has been constant rise in cases of crime. Then we have what we call now spatial analysis. This is utilizing geographic information system to visualize crime patterns on maps, pinpointing crime areas, among other areas. I think spatial analysis is one area that we will look at deeply when we are investigating or when we are discussing the crime mapping. So data mining simply means taking data on crime, then manipulating that data to establish certain trends. And we've said one of them is classification, clustering, association rule analysis, regression analysis, outlier detection, time series analysis, and then spatial analysis. The other type of crime is called espionage. Another method of collecting data is called espionage. And espionage is defined as the act of spying or using spies, agents, assets, and intelligence officers, as well as technology, to collect secret information, usually through illegal means. In other words, spies do not, many cases, they do not act legally. That is, with the permission of the people or objects for which they are doing, they are spying. And the espionage process is, many cases, is a process of obtaining military, political, commercial, or other secret information by means of spies, secret agents, or illegal monitoring devices. Espionage is sometimes distinguished from the broader category of intelligence gathering by its aggressive nature and its illegality. That is, it's quite aggressive and in many cases illegal. Intelligence officers often operate abroad under some form of official cover, perhaps some as diplomats in an embassy. Others might operate as tourists or expatriates. They are undercover, and the whole goal is to ensure that their true identity as spies is not discovered by authorities under whose country they are operating. Others operate without the protection of their governments and must create a convincing cover that explains their presence and activities in the country. For example, quite a number of cases, spies are paid, but governments that use them might not wish that they are known. And sometimes when they are caught, governments that use them might deny. So it is up to them to ensure that they conceal as much as possible their identity. And anytime they feel that it is, authorities have begun to be suspicious about their conduct, they might relocate so that they escape the wrath of the institutions or countries that they are they are spying on. There are certain forms of spies, or now what we call the language of espionage. There are quite many, but I just want us to look at a few. One of them is called an agent. An agent is a person who is unofficially employed by intelligence service, often as a source of information. They're employed, but not officially. So that even when you go to the records of the intelligence service, you don't find them there. Then we have again what we call a double agent, a spy who pretends to be working against one country, but who is in fact working for that country's opponents. So that if a spy, a person say that I'm working for country A, and what the country knows that this our spy, then it might turn out that actually it is that country that is being spied on. That's why they are called double agent. Then we have another one that we call the goal, an agent who searches obituaries and graveyards for names of the deceased for use by agents. So that what they do is they look at the identities of people who have died, and then they use their identities to obtain identity cards, passports, and others. So that if they are caught and they are searched at, their true identities are not established. We have an agent that is called a mole. A mole is an agent of one organization that is sent to penetrate a specific intelligence agency by gaining employment. So that if you want to say crack a given intelligence agency, you can send a person to go and seek employment in that intelligence agency for purpose of working there. And in the process, the person gathers as much information about that intelligence agency and then deliver that information to the other one. That's the person that we call a mole. Then we have a cobbler, a spy who creates false passports, visas, diplomas, and other documents, so that the documentation they have might not actually be theirs because they're using them for other purposes. Then we have now the word spy, and a spy strictly defined as someone used to steal secrets for an intelligence organization. Sometimes they are called agents. Then we have another type that is called a swallow. Swallow is a female agent employed to seduce people for purposes of intelligence purposes. Sometimes they worked as barmaids, some pose as commercial sex workers, and others just as ladies. So their work is to seduce persons of interest, get them closer, and then by getting closer, they inform the agency that has contracted them to do such kind of work. Then you have what we call sleeper agent or sleeper called spy. These are agents living as an ordinary citizen in a foreign country and acts only when a hostile situation develops. These are some of the types of spies that are normally used in the world of espionage. There are others, but these are just some of the few. Then the other method of intelligence gathering is called machine learning. And machine learning plays a crucial role in intelligence gathering by enabling automated analysis of vast data sets from various sources, such as suspicious activity in social media, analyzing surveillance footage, and detecting emerging trends in threat intelligence. Machine learning algorithms can shift through large volumes of data from diverse sources like social media, emails, sensor networks, and news articles, extracting relevant information and identifying patterns that might not be apparent to human analysts. They come in many forms. For instance, we have what we call counterterrorism. This is analyzing social media data to identify potential extremist networks or individuals planning attacks. The other one is cybersecurity, detecting malicious activity in network traffic by identifying anomalies in patterns. We have financial crime, identifying suspicious transactions and potential money laundering activities. Then we have geopolitical analysis, analyzing satellite imagery to monitor troop movements or infrastructure changes. So these are basically you use machine to mine information, to generate information. Then that information you can now then use it to make decisions about how to respond to threats and also and also how to develop policies around intelligence. That is the end of our discussion on the topic methods of intelligence gathering. I want to thank you all, and I want to request you to take note of any issue that you feel may need more discussion. Thank you.